Happy December, everyone. I'm Lyn K, and I'm one of the regional directors for Modern Widows Club, and I live with my family just outside Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm also the founding leader of Modern Widows Club Minneapolis West. I launched that chapter back in December of 2013. So happy anniversary, Minneapolis West, and to the chapter leaders, Jennifer, Alicia, and Shelly. Great job. I was asked, and I'm super excited to be able to share with you today. I was asked by Modern Widows Club and by our founder, Carolyn Moore, to talk about our topic of this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. But before we start talking about that, I wanna take a minute to look back and honor where we've come and where we've been in 2020. We've had our personal triumphs and our personal tragedies. We've learned how to use Zoom way more than we ever thought when we look back at the beginning of the year. We've probably connected with each other and with our fellow Wisters and maybe even our family so much more on Zoom than we ever did in real life, unfortunately, this year. We've also leaned into our experiences of loss to help us build resilience within our families, within ourselves, and within our communities. And for all those personal triumphs, we've also had an amazing year as Modern Widows Club. In 2020, we have served almost 10,000 widows globally with our resources, our support, and our advocacy efforts. Throughout the pandemic, we grew financially as an organization, more than we ever dreamed that we would have back in January of 2020 when we met as a strategic team. But we also grew in ways that we serve our widows and our community. Back in April and May, we launched our support series by our headquarters team, and we hosted 48 different meetings, Zoom meetings specifically, to serve our widows during those initial days of the pandemic. Then we launched 14 community chapters from Rochester, New York to Littleton, Colorado, and everywhere in between in the US. In June, we also launched our first virtual chapter led by our founder, Carolyn Moore, for the first 6 months. And it's amazing. We are so excited to have that launched. That is open to all widows, available to you all. We launched our second chapter in September, and that's our Widows of Suicide chapter. And we've also connected with 4 widows internationally to make our organization truly global, as we learn to lean in to launch chapters in those communities of India, Africa, and Israel. And this month, like I said, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. It's hard not to sing that, right? Especially if you grew up like me, learning it in Sunday school and having it stuck in your head. I mean, I've been singing it all day, thinking about it as I prepared and prepped for this time to share with you. It is a spiritual song, and it encourages us not to let our light, be dimmed or hide it away from the world, that we are supposed to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. But I also know early in my widowhood, and even now, 9 years later, there are definitely days where I don't feel like I'm letting it shine, or that I'm not shining as brightly as I can or should be. So as I prepared for this, and as I thought about what I could share, I thought of a few things that have helped me over the years, and even right now as I navigate these interesting days of life. How can I let my light shine even more? The first one is being neighborly. We know you're probably all super sweet women, sharing and caring for the women in your communities, but especially now is a time when we want to be able to be neighborly and get connected with others. When you share your story, and you share who you are, others see that spirit and that light within you, and it encourages them to do the same. Many of us must be apart right now because it's important to stay safe in our communities, but you can share your light with your neighbors. One of the things I've started doing is I have started baking harvest loaf bread, which is my late husband Mike's favorite holiday recipe. It's really just pumpkin bread with chocolate chips, so it's not anything fancy, but if you want the recipe, let me know. But I've been baking it in small loaves and sharing it with my friends and our neighbors with a little note of encouragement, just telling them that we care and that we're here for them. It's really turned into a fun way to share a story of our lives and a story of who we are. Also, several neighbors are starting to reciprocate this and share because they're feeling the warmth and the joy and the love of being neighborly. Just as the song says, all around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. So here's a great option, be neighborly. Secondly, smile. I know it seems hard some days, believe me, I know. And even now, as we walk around the world, many times in a mask, and you can't see my smile, my eyes show it. My eyes show a smile. Just the other day, I was feeling the weight of all the changes that were coming at us. My kids were moving into full distance learning here. Sports were being postponed or paused, as we say here in Minnesota, right? We were feeling the weight of that. Family holidays were being changed, adjusted. I was concerned about our health, concerned about what was happening and what we were going to do. But life goes on, and I still had to go to the grocery store because I have 5 kids, 2 teenage boys. So if you have kids and boys, you know how much they eat. I could have easily walked through the store with my head down, pushed through, had no interaction with anyone in the store, and really not engaged at all. But I chose to lift my head up, look people in the eye, smile, even behind my mask, and make sure that I felt like I was sharing a little bit of light and a little bit of joy with those I contacted at the grocery store. I even grabbed the last packet of sage as we were preparing for our turkey feast right before a lovely lady behind me did, and realized that there was no more and she needed it. And I turned around and said, here, take mine. I don't need it. I'll come up with something else. It's not a big deal. And sure enough, I mean, her face just lit up. You could see it because I think she just had her recipe in mind for her turkey, and there was nothing that was going to change that. I left that store feeling so much lighter and brighter and just better off, right? Even though the weight of my little world felt like it was crushing down on me, I felt better because my smile might be hidden behind my mask or under a bushel, but I wasn't going to let my light be hid under a bushel. Thirdly, I recommend Stephen Southwick's book, Resilience, because serving others is, well, one, a pillar of resilience and a pillar of widowhood as we lean into that. But we know that altruism is number one, especially in children, but even in us. Altruism is huge when it comes to serving others and building resilience and being able to be the light that we are. This isn't something that comes quickly or comes early usually in your widowhood journey. It took me years to get to this point. But serving others can really change the way that you look at something and help others see the light within you. And while you're doing it, you happen to be building resilience in yourself or within your children if they're doing it with you. And we do things like that as a family. Of course, we do lots of serving within our community individually, but we've done things like serve meals at the American Cancer Society Hope Lodge. We raised money to build a playground set at the hospice house where their dad passed away because I felt it was important that children should get to be children when they're in circumstances like that. And when I think about serving others, I think about the little candle, right? We get a candle at Christmas Eve service and everybody dips your candle in. And sometimes my candle doesn't become a roaring flame right away. It takes a bit. But even though my light is dim and maybe it's not roaring and bright at that moment, my husband and my children can still grab their candle and light theirs from mine, even if it's just burning ever so gently. So knowing that sometimes serving others, even if your light isn't a roaring bright light this holiday season because of what you're going through, take an opportunity to try giving of yourself just a little bit and see how bright it brings your light a little bit more over the holiday season. And lastly, I so encourage you to use your talent. Do you love to write? Start a blog or offer to write for your local school newspaper or other avenues where there's opportunities to share your talent. Are you artistic and see a beauty in things that others don't? Share those talents. Some of us can't barely draw stick figures, so I encourage you to share those talents. Are you good at math? Are you an accountant? Do you have a legal background? Share your talent with a local nonprofit that might need that. Everyone has a talent that's worth being shared with the world, and don't let the world miss out on what you have to share. I can't wait to see what all of you have to offer and learn more about you. As we move through the holiday season, remember to be neighborly. Smile, serve others, and share your talents. I wish you the best possible December and holiday season that's available to you. I look forward to meeting you online and getting connected and hearing all about how you're shining your light for the world to see. One of my favorite quotes that I came upon when I was doing research, and I've had it actually hanging up for a little bit now in my office, is people are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun's out, but when the darkness sets in, their true beauty is revealed only if there's a light within. So go and be the light and let your light shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Happy holidays, everybody.